The desert wind moved like a living thing across the red plains of Mars Colony 7. It carried dust against the solar panels and whispered along the metal walls of the outer settlement. Most people hated the sound. Eli Carter did not. He liked quiet places. He liked long horizons. He liked fixing things that other people forgot about. That was why he was out beyond the colony fence when he saw the crater. It was small, fresh, still warm at the edges. He frowned and adjusted his visor. Nothing had been scheduled for atmospheric entry. Nothing that small would show up on standard scans. He climbed down the slope carefully. At the center of the crater was not a rock. It was a pod, smooth, silver, no visible seams. And sitting beside it was a tiny girl. She was no taller than his knee. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight on water. Her hair floated around her head as if gravity did not fully claim it. Her eyes were wide and bright blue. She looked at him. He froze. She blinked once. Then she waved. Eli swallowed. Well, that is new. He slowly removed his outer glove and crouched down. Hi, she tilted her head. He pointed at himself. Eli, she studied him carefully. Then she touched her chest. Luma, her voice sounded like distant wind chimes. He stared at the pod. It hummed softly, cracked open along one side. Escape pod, which meant someone had launched her, which meant someone powerful was coming. He should have called this in immediately. He did not. Instead, he held out his hand. After a moment of hesitation, she placed her tiny glowing hand in his. Her skin was warm. He smiled without thinking. You look lost. She looked back at the sky. Her face shifted. Not fear, expectation. He glanced up. The sky above Mars Colony 7 changed. Stars vanished. A shadow swallowed the sunlight. Every alarm in the colony began to scream. Eli stood up slowly. A ship filled half the horizon. Not a cruiser. Not a cargo freighter. A city. It descended without sound. Massive, elegant, shimmering with layered shields that bent the light around it. Luma squeezed his finger tighter. A beam of white light reached down from the ship and touched the desert a few meters away. Figures stepped out of the light, tall, armored in silver and deep blue. Their helmets were smooth, with glowing lines across the surface. Energy spears formed in their hands. They saw Eli. They raised their weapons. Luma let go of his finger. She stepped forward and lifted her small glowing hand. The armored soldiers froze instantly. Their weapons powered down. Another beam descended. This one brighter. A single figure emerged. She was tall, taller than any human. Her presence pressed against the air like gravity had increased. Her armor was not armor. It was living metal, flowing, crowned with arcs of light that formed a halo behind her head. Her eyes glowed the same blue as Luma's. Eli felt his heart pound. The woman stepped forward. The soldiers knelt. Every one of them. Even through the helmet he knew what that meant. The woman looked at Luma first. Her expression softened. Then she looked at Eli, and the air grew very still. I am Eris Valen, sovereign of the Ethery Dominion, she said. Her voice carried across the desert without amplification, calm, controlled, ancient. Eli cleared his throat. Okay, he had no training for this. He stood in dusty work boots in front of a queen with an army behind her. Luma ran back to him and grabbed his leg. Eris Valen noticed. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You approached my daughter, the Queen said. Eli nodded once. She was alone. She is never alone. I meant physically. The soldiers shifted slightly. The Queen studied him. You did not attempt to harm her. No, you did not signal your military. No, you did not run. Eli hesitated. I thought about it. Luma laughed softly. The Queen looked down at her daughter. Something passed between them. Silent communication. Then Aris Valen looked back at Eli. My daughter wished to see the surface world of a developing species. She disabled her escort and launched a pod without permission. Luma looked slightly guilty. The Queen continued, Your world is being observed for future integration into our alliance. We did not expect direct contact for another century. Eli let that sink in. So this is bad timing, he said. A flicker of amusement touched the Queen's expression. It is inconvenient. Behind her, the massive ship adjusted position. Clouds of dust swirled outward. Colony security vehicles raced toward them in the distance. Eli glanced back at the approaching convoy. You might want to decide fast, he said. Humans panic first. Ask questions later. The Queen watched the vehicles. We are aware. Her gaze returned to him. You protected my daughter. I held her hand. You stood between her and my guard. He had not even thought about it. Luma tugged his pant leg. Eli safe. The Queen's posture changed. Very slightly. The soldiers behind her relaxed by 1 degree. You feel no fear? Aris Valen asked. Oh, I feel it, Eli said. Just not toward her. He pointed at Luma. The Queen regarded him in silence. The security convoy stopped 100 meters away. Weapons aimed. Orders shouted over loudspeakers. Eli raised his hands slowly. Maybe tell your people not to vaporize mine. Aris Valen turned her head slightly. A wave of invisible force rolled outward from her position. Every human vehicle shut down instantly. Engines died. Weapons powered off. Communication signals cut. Silence. Eli stared. That is going to raise paperwork. The Queen looked back at him. Your species shows aggression born of fear. Yet you approached a being you did not understand with open hands. Eli shrugged. She looked like she needed help. Luma hugged his leg. The Queen watched that closely. Then she stepped forward. Close enough that Eli could see faint constellations moving within her glowing eyes. If harm had come to her, she said quietly, your colony would already be ash. He believed her. I figured. A long pause. Dust moved between them. Then the Queen did something unexpected. She knelt. The soldiers lowered their heads further. The sky seemed to hold its breath. Aris Valen extended her hand. Not in threat. In acknowledgement. Human Eli Carter, she said. You have shown instinctive guardianship toward one of royal blood without knowledge of reward or consequence. Eli blinked. I did not know she was royalty. That is why it matters. Luma beamed proudly. The Queen continued. The Itheri do not forget debts. Your world will not suffer for this contact. Instead, we will begin formal dialogue now. Eli stared at the silent convoy. Maybe turned their engines back on first. A faint smile touched her lips. The vehicles powered up again instantly. Shouting resumed. Confusion filled the air. The Queen rose to her full height. My daughter will return with me, she said. Luma looked up at Eli. Her glow dimmed slightly. Eli, come sky. He hesitated. The Queen studied him. Not today, she said gently to her daughter. Luma hugged Eli tightly. Her small, glowing hands left faint warmth through his suit. Then she stepped back. A beam of light descended again. Before rising, she looked at him one last time. Eli brave. Then she vanished into the light. The Queen followed. The soldiers dissolved into columns of white energy. The massive ship above the colony shifted. For a moment it blocked the sun completely. Then it ascended. Stars returned. The alarms slowly stopped. Dust settled. Colony security rushed forward. Voices shouted questions. Eli stood alone at the center of the crater. The pod had vanished. Only smooth glass remained where it had impacted. Someone grabbed his shoulder. Eli, what did you do? He looked up at the empty sky. He exhaled slowly. I held a kid's hand. High above the planet, inside a chamber of living light. Queen Arisfallon looked down at the small human settlement shrinking beneath them. Her advisors waited. She spoke without turning. Mark this species as courageous. She paused. And unpredictable. Luma stood beside her, watching the planet with shining eyes. He kind, she said. The Queen nodded once. Yes, she agreed. He is, and across the stars, for the first time, humanity was no longer being watched as a curiosity. It was being considered as an equal.